Before uploading this, just saying there is another interview/reaction video out there on Reese's channel. If you have any more questions that we didn't answer, they're probably answered in that video. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Bennett. I'm a Mario cosplayer. Been cosplaying in the community in general for the last 13 years or so. I've been in and away from Florida here and there, but back for good, trying to build my cosplay career here. I play in this film, Waluigi, wah! And it's been a delight and a blast, and it's so much fun.
Hey, I'm Melanie, but please call me Mel. And for this project, I am Naomi. You probably saw me in the last project, but that's not the point.
Hey everybody, my name's Ralph, and I play Wario in the... Wait, what film is it called again?
Waluigi 2.
Waluigi 2. I don't know, I was thinking Smash Bros for some reason.
Okay, what is my favorite scene in the movie? That is a good question. There's quite a few memorable moments. They're all like, man, how do you take a super fun, big experience and just consolidate it into like one moment? It's hard to do. They all have their fun moments. One of the good moments is when Wario goes to punch me, and yeah, that was true to life. So that was pretty fun. Snap out of it!
Oh! Are you okay?
You got a strong right hook.
Holy shit! Did you just get hit?
Yeah, please tell me you recorded that. I get a fun story out of that. Hanging out in the forest was always pretty fun. We got to do a bunch of cool fights and scenes and stuff. It's really hard to consolidate anything to one particular moment. I don't know, man. Every day I hang out with these guys is a blessing, so I don't know if that really counts as an answer or not.
I don't know, there were a lot of scenes that I found to be really fun to do, so I don't know, it's kind of hard to pinpoint what was my favorite scene to do. But if I really had to come down to it, probably that time we went to the park, because I remember there were so many kids that were stopping to look at Eric and Jay because they were in full cosplay. And it was just really wholesome. So I guess that would probably be my favorite.
My favorite scene in the film? Well, that's kind of a bit of a tough one. I kind of really enjoyed the fight scene where I was fighting against, forgot what his name was. Cooper. Yeah, it was Cooper. Because, I actually got to do a lot of crazy nonsense, and, we did kind of trade blows a few times accidentally. But it was also just cool to, have some fight choreography, even though I'm not really much of a fighter. And, just to be like, and kind of just make things a little bit more dramatic, so to speak. So yeah, that was pretty nice.
What's my favorite blooper? Oh yeah, definitely getting punched in the face. Absolutely. That was the best. Most people aren't that excited or super hyped to get punched in the face, but it was an accident, and it was hilarious.
The hardest scene for me to do, every scene that I cry in, that was hard. And the funniest thing was that the first time I did, it wasn't even in the script. I wasn't even planning on crying, but when I delivered the lines, I don't know, I started getting choked up, and then I thought, damn, Naomi has been going through it since the last time you saw her, and it was like she is exhausted. And so when I cried, it wasn't planned, but it definitely did fit the scene. So yeah, anytime I had to cry for a scene was always hard.
After Wario's death, Wario's death is probably the hardest scene. Because it's I can get emotional and I can cry. I'm no Melanie, but I feel like Waluigi is that type of guy who would repress his tears. So it was really hard to get into his exact mindset of how to properly convey his loss and frustration and grief. Because he definitely was losing his mind, but in my mind's eye, he wouldn't be one to shed actual tears. I think he has too much repressing him. to do that. So that was probably the hardest.
Well, I kinda don't really think that the death scene was hard per se, but I guess I was kind of scared that I wasn't going to portray the right emotions because, I brought up the fact that we had to keep the Triforce alive, but that was only one time. That was like a thing that we mentioned at the beginning of the movie. I kind of hope that everybody just understands what I meant when I'm saying that, and I just hope that doesn't like ruin the flow or the moment or anything like that, where everybody's gonna be all like, "Oh, what's he talking about?" Or, "Oh, why didn't you mention the Triforce about when?" So just hoping that like people catch it, the fact that like I said something at the beginning and then it comes back at the end. It's kind of what I was going for, but yeah. Other than that, there wasn't really that many quote-unquote hard scenes, except for maybe some fight scenes, because always got to make sure that we get the moves down over and over again. But it was actually kind of smooth, all things considered.
Well, it was an experience. I thought it was fun because everybody brings different energy and different vision and perspective to the project, of course. So you have Brower, and he's pretty chill and he's pretty, pretty calm about things, and it's really easy to just dig that energy and just kind of go with the flow with it. And then you have Bobby, and Bobby's super hyped. And he's always so gung-ho about it and just kind of fills you up with fire and energy and piss and vinegar. And you're just like, we're going to jump off the tree. Hell yeah, let's do it. That type of crazy stuff. And then we have Shady over here. And Shady's really the really knowledgeable one of the group about all of the film aspects and everything. So it's really interesting to see how he wants to go about it, getting things exactly to his level of caliber, to his level of satisfaction and standards, and just seeing it go to that extra level of quality and what it would take to do that and the dedication for it was also a really good learning experience. And it's not that I want to crap on the other two people, but it's always fun to work with the professional who knows what they're doing and exactly what they're doing.
I make movies.
Yeah, but that having been said, the other guys are super fun to be around. Like, I would bleed for these guys. So, honestly, like, it's a win no matter what. Just how you look at it.
Honestly, with every setback and everything that's happened, like, 8 months of production, was there a point where you felt like this project wouldn't have gotten done? You feel like there was a chance that it would have gotten canceled?
Do I ever feel like that the project would ever get canceled? Not at one point in time ever. 0% chance of me thinking that this wouldn't get done. Now, granted, I'm not on the very technical side of things, so I'm not as familiar with all of the setbacks and all of the cursed, the kind of curses that they've had going on, with the laptop getting fried and losing data and this, that, and the other thing. I didn't deal with any of that personally, but not at any one point in time did I feel like that this wasn't going to get done. I'm just like, okay, here's another setback. Okay, here's another setback. But these guys always are very passionate about what they do. When they say they're going to get things done, they get things done. Granted, this is the first ever real production that I've been a part of since start to finish, so I don't really know how long the usual time frame for these kind of is, but I mean, it all seemed pretty logical and sound to me. So,
Actually, you get to see this on camera, but I believe they forgot to give you your glasses back.
oh yes, thank you. So bright, future so bright, I gotta wear shades.
Clearly.
As far as what was it like having 3 directors, it was interesting just because everybody has their own personality and I guess skills, if that makes sense. Styles, there we go. Different styles of directing. Like Brower, he's really fun and goofy. Bobby, he has his goofy moments, but he's still very precise when it comes to what he wants. And then Shady is probably the most professional out of all of us, but he keeps us in line. So it was fun seeing everyone's different styles of directing.
Having 3 directors coming through on the months, well, they were all pretty, understanding, and they all have their own style of doing things.
We got me, Shady, and Bobby.
Yeah. But, they were all pretty understanding. They all knew what the vision was, and they ultimately were able to come together to put this project together. So, yeah, no complaints here, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm having a ton of fun with it. This is one of my dreams growing up. I always wanted to participate in fun little cosplay Mario movies and this, that, and the other thing. I see them on YouTube. People doing Mario Kart parkour. I never saw Stupid Mario Brothers, but I've seen stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. I wish I could do that. And here we are. It's a dream come true. It's super fun.
Well, clearly I came back to reprise my role as Naomi, so yeah. I think that speaks for itself.
Well, I guess by default, because this is the only project I've ever worked on. I kind of just came onto this movie at first as a favor to my friend Will, because, he said he needed a Wario, and I was just like, sure, why not? But, as we went through it all, it was actually a lot of fun. And I've actually really enjoyed being the character. I just hope for a lot of people I actually end up doing the character justice, and my amateur nature doesn't shine through. Because, yeah, I'd be happy to play him in more stuff in the future for whatever we have planned. Yeah, if anything.
Yeah, this was definitely the longest project I've ever worked on. Like, we've been at it for 8 months. That's like a full pregnancy. That's a full pregnancy right there. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I've given y'all my weekends so much. Like, this was insane.
It started to rain.
Man, we're doing so well.
So we are hiding under leaves. Look at that beautiful rain.
Action!
We're getting closer.
Why is this raining here?
All you need now is just to get that key. And I honestly didn't think this project was gonna be done, because every time I thought, yay, we're done, they're like, nope, we still got a few scenes to shoot. And I'm like, man, I'm tired, can we move on? But it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that. I think it's just interesting to see how a story can start off as one thing, but then be something completely different by the end of it. Would I come back for a future project?
Did you believe it would ever get done?
Well, yes, because, even though we had to constantly stop and go on this whole thing, we were making progress little by little. We kind of just, had a huge boatload of progress as, the time crunch came to. But, throughout the month, it was always all like, so are we ready this weekend? And then some little thing would come up, and then we'd have to portray it for next week, and then next week, and then next week, and yeah, it eventually built up to the point where I was kind of having doubts, to the point where we'd have to put it on, the back burner or something, but, we all came together in the end, so now we got this thing coming out in a couple of days, so yeah, we got this.
Favorite aspect of my character, Waluigi. Waluigi is... Well, I learned a lot going by the Zaandarbrow universe version of Waluigi. Watching the first movie, I'm literally thinking, is this John Wick? Waluigi's literally John Wick. Oh my god, he is John Wick. He's John Wick. That was literally my my level of evolution of thought as I was watching the movie. Going into it this time, I was like, well, how am I going to do a John Wick Waluigi? This is going to be pretty fun and interesting. I took a lot of cues and a lot of context and a lot of information from the original Waluigi actor from that first movie, and he just comes off as to me, he comes off as a professional. He knows what he's doing. He gets things done. He's been through his fair share of shit. He knows what to do when shit hits the fan. He has a lot of the experience that he needs to pull through at the end of the day. He's very scrappy, very street smart. But it was interesting to see him actually have some serious character growth in this film. At the very beginning, you see him and he's just snarky, you know, he has his jokes in there. You can tell he doesn't hate people, but he's not really a people person. He's not really friendly. And then he starts to kind of warm up as you get further on into the movie, as he starts to deal with his self-doubts and the things that he's been repressing in his life and overcoming his trauma. As he starts to overcome that like a true hero, he starts to take up the title of one, you know. So it's pretty cool to see him to rise to the occasion.
Well, I kind of just like the fact that I got to be goofy, because, you know, this movie is supposed to have a lot of serious undertones and everything, but, you know, it felt kind of nice to just be the comic relief character, the one who was the glue to hold the group together. And, you know, I kind of learned that Wario is just, you know, overall trying to be a nice guy and just roll with the punches and just trying to be there for his best friend, or friends, because I know he's also there for Mrs. Scientist. So, yeah. Just a nice, outgoing, friendly guy that would do anything for his friends, and even though Waluigi won't admit it, I know the feeling is vice versa.
Why must the good die young?
Beats me, man. I knew from the beginning I was going to die. There was no straying off the path.
In this movie.
Talk to me a little bit about like what got you involved with Waluigi in the first place. Like, you mentioned briefly that this was your dream, but how did Barry come about, like, you know, presenting the idea of you being a part of the NCU and now for you to lead your own film? Like, talk to me about that process, like beginning, middle, and end.
Sure. So the whole process of what it was like getting pulled into the Zaandarbrow projects was, well, I've been following Zaandarbrow for several years. We've been friends on Instagram, and I don't know if we were friends on Facebook at that point in time, but I've seen his stuff, you know, and I know he was always a big fan of the Mario universe and doing video game characters and this, that, and the other things. So with me moving back to Florida, which I've been trying to for the last 8 years, if I never moved away 8 years ago, I would be getting paid to cosplay right now, not to toot my own horn. But point is, I had real incentive to come back to Florida, and then once I eventually was able to, it was really important for me to get hooked up and get a network going and to be plugged into the system, as it were, and then just engage in cool and fun projects. So when I knew I was finally coming back to Florida, I contacted Xander and I said, "Hey, man, I'm coming back to town. If you have any cool characters you want to do, let me do. I can do Super Mario, okie dokie, let's go. I can do Waluigi, oh yes, okie dokie, yahoo! Ah, I can do a Wario, and I can do Waluigi, where? Just let me know, you know, I want to do cool, fun things." And he's like, "Yeah, man, absolutely. I know you're passionate about, you know, the characters and stuff like that. I'm always in need of people who aren't lacking in fiery passion, so we'll bring you in some projects." And then I moved down here, and he's like, "Yeah, man, how about you being an extra in the Lake movie? Actually, you know what? We need a Waluigi. We're coming up with a Waluigi movie, too. I like your stuff. How would you like to be Waluigi for it?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And there we are. Hope that answers the question. Where do I want to see character go? Where do I want to see Waluigi go in the future? I want to see him continue to put himself out of that comfort zone. Try to be a bit more friendly. Try to learn some social protocol. You know, it would be cool to see him match my own personality, where he goes from the kind of like the shut-in who is antisocial to try to be the life of the party. You know, to be the cool guy that everybody knows, to be the reliable, the fun guy at the party. So it'd be kind of cool to see Waluigi grow into that kind of aspect, but he's got a very, very long way before he reaches that point. But it'd be fun to see him grow out of the just nasty, I'm just gonna kill everybody Hitman type of personality.
Final question for you here. What did this role mean to you? Like, the arc that Waluigi goes through is very personal and very, like, emotional. It's not like what Link or even Snake had to go through. You probably got the most development out of the three. So what did this role mean to you, to go like to this extreme when Waluigi typically tends to be more of like this light-hearted character.
So what did it mean for me to go through what did the role mean to me, and what did the character mean to me? Man, they meant a lot, you know. Mario characters are my favorite characters, hands down. And any franchise, anything of the sort. And they all have something to like about them one way or another, whether it's Mario or Peach or Luigi or Waluigi, etc. and so forth. Waluigi doesn't get the love that Nintendo could be giving him. Mostly because of their owner not really wanting him to be out there so much. So you don't see him in Smash, you know, he doesn't have any games dedicated to him. He's always just been kind of like a background character. And I always thought Waluigi was a fun character because he's kind of like the way I've seen it described to me is kind of like the Deadpool of the Nintendo universe. And that they can do whatever they want with Waluigi, and people will be like, yeah, that's about right. He's kind of like the comic relief, the zany, insane character that's really fun. But for the film itself and going into it, I'd say that it mirrored my own personal development a whole lot too. Because when I initially grew up, I was introverted, pessimistic, snarky. I wouldn't say mean, but I was I didn't like people, and I didn't like being around people all that much. I was really kind of an introvert on top of it all. And I worked really, really hard. It was the greatest project of my life to become who I am. There's a great quote of that from The Magicians, where becoming myself is the greatest project I've ever had in my life. And I fought really hard. I was at war with myself for years to become outgoing, optimistic, happy-go-lucky, sociable, learn social protocol, all of this. And it's a night and day difference between who I was and who I am today. And so as a life coach, I like to put out the message that if I can do it, anybody can. If you really want to change yourself, if you want to become another version of yourself, you can do it. It's just really difficult because you're going to be at war with yourself. So back to the actual question itself, I feel like Waluigi went through a lot of this himself, you know. He had to go from just being the lone wolf, the lone hitman who doesn't need anybody, who doesn't care about anybody, to slowly opening up and being able to be reliable, be part of a team, learn to work with others. Now granted, he's still a snarky prima donna throughout the whole movie. I'm thinking of multiple occasions where Wario's trying to talk to him, and I just played him off as a douchebag. But just because he comes off as a douchebag, and he is, doesn't mean he's not dealing with his own internal demons deep down, you know. So playing the character myself, you really get to see it from, you know, putting myself in his shoes, you get to see it from his perspective of where he's come from, what he's trying to overcome, who he's trying to be. You can see that he wants to be a sociable, friendly person, but it's very difficult for him because, you know, Hitman life means that being open like that leads you to being vulnerable and being hurt. So him being able to overcome that and regard people not as a vulnerability but as a strength has been truly an honor and interesting experience.
All right. Well, thank you so much. If you don't mind, please plug people in to where they can find you and sign off.
Sure, absolutely. You can easily find me online. I'm just going through a major rebranding right now, but you can find me as EA Cosplays. It's in the game, now without microtransactions. But E is for Eric and A is for Eiley. I'm gender fluid, and that's my girl's side. So EA Cosplays, branding and stuff like that is always easier if you like consolidate things to being simple. So yeah, EA Cosplays. You can find me on. I have a Facebook page for it now. I have a Instagram. TikTok is now EA Cosplays as well. That's a lot of that's mostly Mario jokes between Mario and Luigi, but I got a lot of cosplay stuff in general. Right now I'm working on fixing my Tumblr, Twitter, DeviantArt. There's a lot of rebranding. YouTube as well. It's all EA cosplays. You might need to put like an underscore, but usually my my avatar pictures of me as Mario.
So yeah, that's everything I can tell you about my experience on this film. If you want to follow me on Instagram at amor_mariposa13. TikTok, my name is Twas_written. And yeah, honestly, that's the only kind of socials I want to drop. And thank you.
Well, this has been Ralph Velez. Hope you guys all watched the movie. Subscribe to Zaandarbrow.
Last message is I wanted to just thank the whole crew for being super awesome, super fun to be around. Their passion and creativity and care, you know, really makes you want to come back to set, you know? It's not one of those things where just because you kind of had, like, I've heard, you know, how cursed the movie was to make it. You might have had a cursed experience or a bad experience. It's not enough to pull you away from it and say, okay, I'm done for good. I don't ever want to deal with this ever again. I have a blast with these people, and, you know, it's an honor to be a part of it.